Hello and welcome to the Purgatory Ironworks Cat Farm. I'm here with your host Trent Ty with today's mail call and a bunch of damn cats. So, first of all, I want to tell you guys how much I appreciate all the letters that's been coming in here lately. Again, you guys are the reason that we do this stuff, and of course I always love to hear from you. If you have questions, no matter how odd, I always enjoy taking a stab at them. And we got 4 good ones this time around. Mr. Jacob Beal asks, I know that you've tinkered with a waste oil forge at one time. Does a waste oil forge get hot enough to forge weld? Also, how hard is it to regulate? Thank you for whatever info you can provide, and keep the videos coming. Well, Mr. Jacob, since you know that I was tinkering with a waste oil forge, that means you've been around for a while. Waste oil forges are cool in concept. I got a kick out of mine, but if I'm honest with everything, the waste oil forge is not the way to go, and a couple of reasons. And I mean, again, this is definitely one of the sliding glass door issues. Not can you, but should you. And I have cats attacking the base of the phone stand, so if we get a little bit wobbly, it's their fault. So, waste oil forges are cool. They can be made to work, and you can forge with them. I've never gotten one up to forge welding heat, and let me tell you why. I'm not saying that they can't, but because a waste oil forge is burning that oil, it's not a very clean fuel, and so there's a lot of those volatile compounds that are coming off of it. So what happens, you know, one of the biggest complaints with a gas furnace is the fact the heat radiates so much. Unlike with coal, where the heat's very contained. I love working coal because I can put my hand very close to where I'm working. With a gas forge, that heat can extend out a long ways. Well, with a waste oil burner, that heat goes way, way out there. It's more like working with a bonfire than anything else. That's my first complaint. The second complaint is it is incredibly difficult to regulate, and here's the reason why. If you live in a cold climate, that oil has to be heated to get it to flow correctly. If you're using just a bunch of old motor oil, it's going to be viscous, and we actually had to set up a tank to warm it up to make it flow. Then you have to filter it, because as it drips out, it has to drip onto a plate, and it has to vaporize in order for it to combust. That is a pain in the butt. There's a constant problem with it clogging up. Pretty much a constant issue with keeping a steady rate in there. So unless you have some sort of powered feed rate with an oil that has been filtered, a waste oil that's been filtered, you are just asking for problems. Again, it can be done, but it's a pain in the butt. And the other thing is it does put off a tremendous amount of very nasty fumes. That was one thing that I never could quite get around. The burn is pretty clean. I mean, it's not smoking off soot, but if you walk into a place, you can smell it. I mean, you can taste it. So it's not a great thing on that end. So it was a cool concept. I'm glad I had the opportunity to actually play with one, but it's not something that I would use in any sort of production capacity at all. Good question though. All right, David Gray. Good morning, Trent. I know you said you're taking the weekend off, but here's a question for you. My original knife shop was in my garage, and I set it up on the fly so I could still use my garage. Now that my mom has passed away, my condolences, and left me her property, it has 2 garages, and I'm turning one into a full-on shop. What is some advice on setting up a layout? Thanks for your time and help, and as always, great videos. Well, again, Mr. David, sorry about the passing of your mother. That's not a good thing, but having an extra garage is a great thing. And as far as layout, I would refer you back to the video we did just the other day about the leather working bench. The more areas that you can dedicate to one particular use, whether it be forging, a workbench specifically for doing X, you know, you need to designate areas. You want to get away from the tackle box method of doing crafts. And what I mean by that, of course, you've got all your tools and everything in your tackle box, and you tote it from place to place and deploy. The biggest thing is, and this is something I'm going to do a full video on, but you need to let the work lead. Get out of my tea. You need to let the work lead the layout. So if you're going to be doing knives, that tells you what you need to have set up. If you're going to be doing hardware, that tells you what you need to set up. So the first question that you need to answer is, what am I going to be making? at exactly what's going to be the best layout there. So yeah, and now if it's got a concrete in there, the best way to answer that question and to be prepared to be versatile, put everything that you have, if you build tables, on casters. It's the way to go. Cole Roundtree, just curious, what's the most readily available sources for fire brick? If you're looking to make a furnace or a forge out of fire brick, any place locally that does fireplaces will carry fire brick. There are several places like Larkin Refractory up in Atlanta that sell fire brick. It's very cheap, but most fireplace companies or brick companies are going to have some form of fire brick. Now, for the most part, fire brick comes in two flavors. There's a 2,000 degree and a 3,000 degree brick. Of course, you want the 3,000 degree brick. However, if you're in a pinch, get the 2,000 degree. It will hold up. It's going to crack. It's going to break eventually. But if you're a beginner and you're just getting started up, grab the 2,000 degree. They're about maybe two bucks a brick. I mean, you know, for 20 bucks you can have a plenty of brick to do your little fire pan. So any place that sources brick should have some type of fire brick. And finally, Mr. Brian, and I'm about to butcher this last name, Hoyer, H-O-E-I-R, Hoyer. Good afternoon, Trenton. Just got done watching your workstation video, and I have to ask, how do you like the West Systems epoxy? I love my 15-minute from True Grit. However, casting blocks of burl is in my future, and 8 ounces isn't going to cut it. Thank you for your time. This is where I have to say that the West System, you know, the epoxy is really good. You know, we do knives occasionally, and this epoxy is really good stuff. It's a little thin. I mean, I know you can add some stuff to thicken it up. But the greatest thing about the West System are the pumps. If you're going to do West System epoxy, get the pump. I mean, even if the epoxy was seen as DevCon, you know, that you buy at the store, those little measuring pumps are fantastic. If you guys are not familiar, the West System epoxy is usually 2 big cans of epoxy, the A part and the B part. And they have very specific pumps that one pump is the exact amount that you're supposed to mix with the other one. So even though the containers are different, you take your cup, one pump, and that's the exact ratio that you need for the mix of the epoxy. That has got to be the best thing, because basically I can do one little squirt there, know that it's the right combination of the two parts, and if I need a little bit more, just bump up. I don't have to take bottles back out. You know, it's just that easy. So I have been terribly happy with the West System. And again, if you start doing a lot of knives, being able to buy that epoxy in bulk is going to save you a lot of money, because if you keep on buying little bottles out of Lowe's or whatnot, they're going to eat you up on the price. So I've got to say, I've been very, very happy with the West System epoxy. So guys, that is our mail for today. I want to tell you how much I appreciate you tuning in. And we got cats and everything else every freaking where. We're going to be doing some more cool projects in the shop this week, but keep the questions coming, keep the comments coming. Good to see you guys. Be safe.